Good morning, America. For our viewers in the West, concern about a widening war in the Middle East. What will artificial intelligence mean for jobs? And we have a first look at The Bear. He's starring as Bruce Springsteen.
Iran warning of all-out war if the U.S. joins Israel in the escalating conflict in the Middle East. As President Trump calls for Iran's unconditional surrender and warns the U.S. could target the supreme leader.
Breaking overnight, at least 8 reported tornadoes across 6 states, and more than 100 people, including Girl Scouts, rescued from flash floods. Ginger is tracking it all, with more than 100 million Americans on alert.
A candidate for New York City mayor arrested, taken into custody by ICE in the halls of an immigration court while trying to protect a migrant.
AI's advantage? What the CEO of Amazon told employees about how the technology is already changing its workforce, which jobs will be replaced, and how you can prepare for what's ahead.
55-year-old Food Network star chef Ann Burrell found dead at her home, known for her signature hair and fun-loving personality. What we're learning this morning.
Rip Current rescue. A 15-year-old lucky to be alive. What happened when his mom couldn't see him from the beach? How he was saved after being pulled a mile from shore.
Hundreds of Karen Reed supporters anxious for a verdict. This morning, the questions the jurors asked the judge during deliberations, as a member of the jury from her first trial tells us he sees history repeating itself.
The big change coming to the supermarket. 2 major food companies announced plans to eliminate artificial food dyes. Dr. Narula breaks down the health concerns behind the move.
And back-to-back Stanley Cup champs.
Panther perfection. The Florida Panthers win their second consecutive Stanley Cup.
Plus, there's a new look at The Boss. Jeremy Allen White on screen as Bruce Springsteen. Don't miss the first look at the highly anticipated film.
Live from ABC News headquarters in New York City, it's Wednesday. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America. Look like you have the same boss in hockey. Yeah, Florida Panthers. Right. And, you know, we have a lot more coming up about the new Bruce Springsteen movie. That's going to be a great one.
That is ahead. But also we have Ginger standing by tracking the severe weather, putting 100 million on alert right now. At least 8 reported tornadoes across 6 states overnight.
We're going to begin with the conflict between Israel and Iran as the 2 countries trade deadly attacks amid uncertainty about what action President Trump could take, either through diplomacy or military action against Iran. We'll have the latest from the Middle East, but we start with Rachel Scott at the White House. Good morning, Rachel.
George, good morning to you. And sources tell us this morning that President Trump has been presented with and is now considering a range of options, including using U.S. military assets to strike Iranian nuclear facilities. This morning, that is prompting a stark warning from Iran's supreme leader, who says that Americans should know that Iran will not surrender, that war will be met with war, strike with strike. This morning, Iran warning of an all-out war if the U.S. joins Israel in the escalating conflict in the Middle East. With thousands of American troops based within range of Iranian weapons, an Iranian spokesperson saying in a new interview, any American intervention would be a recipe for an all-out war in the region. President Trump is weighing his options, declaring, quote, "We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran," a claim that departs from previous U.S. statements that Israel's offensive was done without U.S. involvement. The president also demanding the regime's unconditional surrender, and then delivering this warning. We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill, at least not for now. The Iranian leader responding on social media. The battle begins. With tension building at a rapid pace, the president cutting his trip to the G7 summit short, assembling his national security team in the Situation Room at the White House, and meeting with them hours after arriving in Washington. The president then speaking with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who sources say has been pressing the U.S. to get more involved. Only the U.S. has the 30,000-pound bunker buster bomb, capable of reaching Iran's deeply buried nuclear site. Trump has been holding out hope for a nuclear deal with Iran, but now acknowledges his patience is wearing thin. The U.S. military moving aircraft carriers and strike groups to the region, pre-positioning to defend Americans.
Well, we'll come down so hard if they do anything to our people. We'll come down
Deepening America's involvement could also be politically risky. The president pledged to stop all wars. Even some Republicans are cautious.
I don't think we need to get directly involved because I think we've been very directly involved in the region for 25 years. I think what Americans have spoken very clearly about is we don't want more war in the Middle East.
And Democrats pushing for the U.S. to step back.
In my view, there is no compelling security reason for the U.S. to go to war with Iran.
So other Republicans like Senator Lindsey Graham have personally called the president, telling him that the U.S. should get more involved and help Israel, quote, finish the job. This is setting up quite the divide in the Republican Party, Michael.
Yeah, it sure is there, Rachel. Thank you so much for that. We're going to go to our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, who's on the ground for us in Tel Aviv. Good morning, Ian.
Yeah, good morning, Michael. Both sides continuing to launch missiles at each other, although there has been a noticeable decline in the number of Iranian attacks, but certainly at least 2 or 3 attempted salvos overnight.
Overnight, a barrage of missiles in the Middle East as Israel and Iran enter their 6-day trading attacks. Repeated emergency warnings in Tel Aviv for residents to take cover.
We just had the sound of the air raid siren alert. We just heard the first sound there of an intercept, so we're going to have to disappear. But this is another round of Iranian strikes on Israel.
Overnight, Israel targeting the Iranian capital of Tehran. President Trump and the IDF urging civilians there to evacuate. Flames and black smoke rising into the sky. ABC News verifying at least 20 Israeli strikes inside Iran since Friday, including 2 on nuclear facilities. The UN nuclear watchdog just now confirming damage at 2 sites. The US debating deeper involvement, but already assisting Israel in its campaign, deploying more than 30 aerial refueling tankers to the region. The situation increasingly tense as Israel and Iran threaten more attacks to come. Iran's supreme leader saying they'll show no mercy. An Iranian news agency releasing video it says shows missiles being fired towards Israel. This large crater left by an Iranian missile strike in central Israel. A nearby bus completely burnt out. Now the IDF saying they control the skies over Iran. Releasing video they say shows the moment they hit mobile Iranian rocket launchers. In Tehran, the Iranian Red Crescent Society releasing video they say shows rescuers trying to free injured people trapped in a residential building following an Israeli strike Tuesday.
Well, it's worth bearing in mind that actually both Israel and Iran want America to get involved, but in 2 very different ways. Iran wants American intervention to try and bring about a ceasefire and to resume talks, not least because that ensures that Ayatollah Khamenei possibly survives in power. Israel wants America involved because it needs military assistance, in particular to target these deep ground nuclear sites that it says are developing this enriched uranium, which could be used for nuclear weapons. So certainly here they're lobbying for more American involvement. Robin?
As you said, they have opposing reasons why. Ian, thank you. We're going to bring in our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz, with more on what action the U.S. could take in the conflict, including a possible strike on a key Iranian nuclear facility. Martha, as you know, the administration claiming they are looking to keep out of the conflict, and then President Trump made those very strong threats, Martha.
Yeah, it's kind of dizzying there, Robin. There is enormous pressure on President Trump because this is one of the most consequential foreign policy decisions the president is making, and one that is dividing some in the MAGA movement. As we've said, he is getting pressure from the Israelis to help take out the Fordo nuclear site, and the U.S. is certainly capable of that with our B-2 stealth bombers. But the biggest question is, then what? I have been in contact with current and former officials, and the overall message is beware of success. The initial phase of the wars in both Iraq and Afghanistan was successful, and then, as we all know, after 20 years of fighting, Afghanistan fell, and we are still in Iraq. And while Iran has been weakened substantially, they would almost certainly respond to any U.S. action by taking aim at U.S. assets of troops in the region, Robin.
And Martha, so many people want to know, is there still a possibility for a diplomatic solution?
Well, you know, Robin, there's always hope, but what concerns the Israelis is that President Trump will make a deal that will not completely rid the region of the threat of Iranian nuclear weapons. That is why they insist that this bombing campaign continues. until that threat is eliminated. A lot of hard choices there this morning, Robin.
A lot, as you said, Martha. Thank you, George.
Okay, Robin, back home now. We're going to go to those dangerous storms that are moving through the country. More than 100 million Americans on alert for severe weather after the heartland hit hard overnight. Ginger, of course, has the latest. Good morning, Ginger.
Hey, that system is going to get here tomorrow with severe weather. And I have to tell everyone that millions of us, after this moves through, are going to be slingshotted into dangerous heat and humidity by next week. We'll get to that. But let's talk about what was happening. Flash flooding, too. This was 100 Girl Scouts and leaders cut off by flash flooding. It was 2 to 3 inches that fell really quickly, all part of one system that was leaving. And then there were damaging winds down to Alabama and Georgia. But most of the tornado action was back in the plains. We are going to see more of that. And so, look, Wichita, Kansas had a busy day yesterday. 101 mile-per-hour winds reported at their airport. Wanted to show you Chicago. Those 3 strikes, not 1, not 2, but 3 at a time there, waking them up early this morning. Now, what we're going to do is this afternoon, Chicago will have more storms. Indianapolis will, Detroit. And all of those cities I just mentioned have a risk of a tornado on top of the damaging wind. So, yes, I just said tornado this afternoon or evening. And I want to open it up here to make sure you understand that by Thursday afternoon, so these are both daytime events mostly, it's Philadelphia and New York right up through the Hudson Valley. Look at Wednesday. So this is a level 3 out of 5 here. Thursday, we're going all the way from Charlotte up to Burlington. And I have to tell you all, next week, early Monday, Tuesday, heat index 100 plus.
Wow.
So big change from where we've been.
Oh, no doubt. All right. Thank you, Ginger. We're going to turn now to the candidate for New York City mayor who was arrested by ICE at an immigration court while he tried to protect a migrant who was being arrested. Chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky joined us with the story. Good morning, Aaron.
Michael, this happened at a moment of confusion. Good morning to you. ICE is once again targeting migrants at hotels and restaurants and farms after being told not to. And with more immigrants being arrested outside immigration courts around the country, an elected official here who's also running for New York City mayor was detained while standing up for one of them.
You have a judicial warrant.
In the hallway of immigration court.
Can I see the judicial warrant? Can I see the warrant? I will let go when you show me the judicial warrant.
ICE agents tangled with New York City Controller Brad Lander, a Democratic candidate for mayor, as he linked arms with a migrant man the agents were trying to arrest.
Where is it? Where is the warrant?
The agents pried the men apart and put Lander in handcuffs.
You don't have authority to arrest U.S. citizens. Sir, you don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens.
He was held several hours but eventually released, unlike the man he was holding on to. The Department of Homeland Security accused Lander of assaulting and impeding a federal officer.
I will not characterize the events, but I certainly did not assault an officer.
Lander is the latest Democrat detained by federal agents while pushing back against President Trump's deportation policies. 2 New Jersey lawmakers were arrested outside a detention center in Newark, and California Senator Alex Padilla was handcuffed as he tried to question Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem during a news conference.
What's happening is not just a threat to California, it's a threat to everyone in every state.
The Department of Homeland Security says it's wrong when politicians undermine law enforcement safety for a viral moment. Federal prosecutors are now investigating Brad Lander, noting, Robin, a prohibition on obstructing an official proceeding. Robin?
Okay, we'll see what happens going forward. Aaron, thank you. Now, the rescue of a Florida teen swept out to sea, out of sight after a trip. Rip current got hold of him on a trip to the beach with his family. And Sam, you're going to bring the story to us?
It was about a mile out, Robin, so think about that. All right, it's swim season, and we all know how dangerous these rip currents can be, already responsible for 18 deaths here in the U.S. Guys, it's just June 18th now. But this case has a happy ending, and it's all because of a team of rescuers and a boogie board.
This morning, a 15-year-old Florida boy escaping a terrifying ordeal after being swept away by a rip current.
Lucky for us, we were able to locate him about a mile offshore.
Investigators say he was at the beach with his family in Martin County, Florida over the weekend along Florida's east coast when his mother said she could no longer see him in the water and called authorities to help. About a half hour later, a towboat captain spotted the boy floating on his boogie board.
So all I really saw was actually the top of his hand when he was waving over some of the swells out there. So I was able to throw a throwable cushion, and I was able to lift him over the boat and into to my boat.
That captain notified the Coast Guard, and a sheriff's boat assisted with the rescue.
I think that this boogie board probably saved his life. He was able to stay afloat, and even though the rip current caught him, that same flotation device probably pulled him right out of that current and into just the regular current of the ocean.
Now, I know it seems like a lot to remember when you're in the water, but we say swimming in front of a lifeguard is important for just this reason, so someone can see you and they see if you're getting in trouble. And if you do get in trouble, especially if you don't have something like a boogie board around, it's easier to float than it is to swim against that rip current. So just kind of roll over on your back, stay calm, and swim looking at the shoreline. So you're like parallel to the shoreline until you're out of that rip current. And then signal for help. Do not swim against that current because you will lose strength in minutes.
Yeah. All right, great advice. Thank you for that, Sam. Appreciate it. And now we're going to go to the Academy of Motion Pictures, announcing some notable honorees. Larry, you're here with the Oscars news.
Yeah, is it already Oscar season? Someone forgot to tell me. But this is really exciting. Tom Cruise, Debbie Allen, Dolly Parton, and Wynn Thomas will all receive honorary Oscars. Wynn Thomas, guys, is a production designer. He is known for his work on films like A Beautiful Mind, Hidden Figures, and Do the Right Thing. Oh, wow. Debbie Allen is, of course, a force. She is being honored for her impact as a choreographer, a dancer, an actor whose work has just captivated us for generations. And Miss Dolly Parton, she will be receiving the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award for working well beyond 9 to 5, spending decades with her ongoing charitable work, including the Dollywood Foundation and her literacy program. So great.
Greg, you've got Tom Cruise, right? He's been nominated 4 times for 4 Oscars.
4 times, and we know he's getting one
Getting
now.
one now.
He was nominated for Born on the 4th of July for Jerry Maguire, for Magnolia, and also as a producer for Top Gun Maverick. He is, of course, one of the highest grossing actors of all time, celebrated for his incredible stunt work and his long-standing commitment to the theatrical experience with movies like Top Gun and Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. All 4 legends will be honored at the Governor's Awards this November, and we want to be the first to say congratulations.
Congratulations to all of them.
All deserving.
Thank you, Lara.
Coming up, what the CEO of Amazon told employees about AI and how you can prepare for what's ahead. Definitely news you want to hear. We'll be right back.
So many hits. Back here on GMA, fans excited to look back on the glory days when Bruce Springsteen's story is brought to the big screen starring Jeremy Allen White. Yes, chef. We have a highly anticipated first look at the trailer. That's coming up in
We are looking forward to that. First new at 7:30. A crucial hearing in the Idaho College murder case as the suspect heads back to court. He's fighting to delay the trial. The defense is arguing that because the state is seeking the death penalty, his team needs more time to repair their case. As newly revealed police body cam footage shows an interview with a woman claiming to be the DoorDash driver dropping off food at the house just minutes before authorities believe the students were murdered. She's heard telling authorities that she saw Brian, expects to be called to testify about the murder case.
Also right now, the Federal Reserve is set to announce its latest interest rate decision this afternoon. It's expected to hold rates steady for a 4th straight meeting. The decision comes as President Trump has repeatedly urged the Fed to lower rates. And a scary home invasion didn't seem to frighten one family member. Take a look at the dog comes nose to nose with a bear that made his way into an LA County home. 16-year-old Doodle barked at the bear before coming to his senses and running off. The homeowner said the bear was going in and out of the house for about 20 minutes before it eventually wandered off.
You can just hear the bear saying, do you really want to do this? I mean,
yeah, really do.
You heard the dog go,
I mean, I know you could.
See you.
Got out of there.
We're going to switch gears now, go to the Karen Reed murder trial. The jury is set to begin its 4th day of deliberations this morning. Jurors asked the judge several questions on Tuesday, which could signal which way they might be leaning. Dan Evans is going to address that after this from Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, George. And you can see the Karen Reed reporters behind me wearing their pink outside the courthouse today. And there is a real sense out here today that the jury is getting close to some sort of decision. But one of the questions they asked yesterday indicates that they may not be convinced by the prosecution's case. This morning, hundreds of Karen Reed supporters thronging that Massachusetts courthouse, anxious for a verdict.
Karen, what about from you? Any reaction to what's happened today?
In the afternoon, the jury signaling to Judge Beverly Cannoni that they were confused about the jury form.
If we find not guilty on 2 charges but can't agree on 1 charge, is it a hung jury on all 3 charges or just 1 charge? To me, it's a theoretical question, and we don't answer theoretical questions.
Karen Reed's defense pleading for the judge to simplify the form.
Because if that question remains in their minds, we're going to end up in the exact same position that we were in last year.
That jury almost exactly a year ago was hopelessly deadlocked. Eventually, a mistrial was declared.
This is what it looks like when you bring false charges against an innocent person.
This time around, the judge not budging.
This is not a question I can answer.
Ronald Stanislaw was a member of that jury during Reed's first trial and says he's watching history repeat itself.
I honestly think it's going to be the same exact outcome. That on 2 charges, it's going to be not guilty, and on 1 charge, it's going to be essentially a mistrial.
He told me back in April that the jury he was on was also uncertain about the jury instructions. What was the understanding in the jury room about having to be unanimous?
Our understanding as a group was it has to be unanimous on all 3 counts.
Reed, who claims she's innocent and never hit O'Keefe with her car, is facing 3 charges. Second-degree murder for the death of her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence, and leaving the scene of a fatal collision. The manslaughter charge carries a series of lesser offenses, including OUI, similar to driving while intoxicated. Now you can hear those free Karen Reed chants behind me. And remember, this trial started back on April 1st, and both the prosecution and the defense have urged the jury to follow the data, but they have wildly different interpretations of the data. The defense says that John O'Keefe was attacked by fellow cops, and then there was a conspiracy to cover up his death. The prosecution says Karen Reed hit him with her car. It's simple, but for jurors with over 200 pieces of evidence to pour over, it's anything but, guys.
Okay, Matt, thanks very much. Let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. What do those questions tell you?
It tells me this is pretty good news for the defense so far, meaning if you believe that these jurors are saying not guilty on the 2 most significant charges and they're potentially hung on one of the lesser ones, we don't know this, but that's what it looks like, that would be good news for Karen Reed. And we'll have to see. It was very interesting to hear how the judge dealt with this as well.
And did the judge provide enough clarification when it comes to that question about a hung jury?
You know, it was kind of a close call, right? Because what the judge could have said is, as a legal matter, if you find her not guilty on the first 2, those cases go away. And then, yes, there could be a 3rd charge. What the judge is trying to do is get them to reach verdicts on all of it. So the judge doesn't want to give them an out, right? To say, in effect, no, this won't be a hung jury on the whole. You'll have resolved 2 of the charges. The judge basically wants to send them back, leave them enough uncertainty to basically say, try to reach a verdict on all 3 of these counts.
You know, after the last hung jury, this is the retrial for that. Do you think if they don't, do you think they can do another trial again if there's another hung jury on the final trial?
Yeah, so if it ends up being not guilty on the most significant charges and there's a hung jury on one of the lesser, I don't expect that they're going to retry, which would mean it's a win for Karen Reed. If there is a hung jury on a more significant charge, it's a closer question. But I think in the end, are they really going to try this a 3rd time if they have problems here? I don't think so, particularly if it's one of the lesser charges. I think this case is going to be over.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate your insight, as always. And we're going to turn now to the CEO of Amazon, telling the company's employees that some of their jobs will be replaced by AI and that Amazon's workforce is expected to shrink in the coming years as AI's role expands. Our chief business correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis, is here with the story. I don't know how good of news this is for, physical employees.
Right.
Rebecca,
I mean, good morning, Michael. Hey, guys. And this is big news, and it's unsettling news for a lot of people listening. In a message to employees, Andy Jassy, the CEO of Amazon, writing that the tech giant will need fewer people doing some of the jobs that are being done today and more people doing other types of jobs, and that Amazon will reduce its total corporate workforce in the next few years. Amazon is already using generative AI to do everything from improving inventory placement to forecasting demand to cutting costs and delivery times. You experience some of this as a customer, but in the future, according to Jassy, those AI agents will be teammates. The technology is now your teammate in the future.
Well, it sounds like this is a growing trend, though.
It is, and we've heard this now from Meta, we've heard it from Microsoft. Like I said, it is deeply unsettling as a human to hear it, but learning how these tools actually work and can help you in your work and life is a huge advantage right now. Google offers a free course called Google AI Essentials. You can download an app like ChatGPT, ask it questions. Once you familiarize yourself, you can even use it to manage things like your calendar and summarize long documents. And guys, this is something we're going to be talking about. Into the future. It's important to remember here that it's not necessarily a job replacement, but it makes jobs different. Being at the higher end, doing the higher level thinking, being helpful and being human. This is key. When you are in a job, put forth the best human aspects of yourself and be kind to humans as well.
That's true. All right, all good points there, Rebecca. Thank you. Now with the latest on Food Network star Ann Burrell, who died yesterday at the age of 55. And what are we learning more and more by the hour?
We do have a little bit more information, and you know all too well. Known for her signature spiky platinum blonde hair, her huge personality, Ann Burrell was a force to be reckoned with in the kitchen and on TV.
This morning, the culinary world in shock after the sudden passing of celebrity chef Ann Burrell.
So thank you for coming. Oh, look at this gorgeousness. Oh, yes.
Questions are now being raised about what may have led up to the death of the 55-year-old chef who was found dead in her home in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, yeah. Hello, beautiful.
Known for her signature hair.
It's perfect for summer. I'm like a ray of sunshine.
And fun-loving personality.
And I have a beautiful smelling pan of pancetta.
Burrell became one of America's favorite chefs through her work on the Food Network.
Hi, how you doing? So far, I'm so good. Oh. I got the mark.
Hosting Worst Cooks in America for 14 years.
Daniel is cutting a jalapeno with scissors. Oh, look at that. It's like an arts and craft project.
And more recently, her work on House of Knives.
I think I would look good sitting on that throne. How would a crown look on my hair?
All while delighting us with frequent appearances on GMA.
Our friend, Chef Ann Burrell is here.
Yeah.
So the first bite of a slice or a pie is always the best one. So I'm looking for the right ratio of crust to cheese to toppings to sauce and that really nice crunch.
Burrell got her start working in Italian restaurants in Manhattan before becoming a sous chef on Iron Chef America.
These are the frico that are going to be fried baked cheese crisps.
Her personality standing out so much, Food Network offered her her own show, Secrets of a Restaurant Chef, which ran for 9 seasons.
That's a juicy, funky chicken. It is good stuff.
Segueing that success into becoming a guest judge on Chopped.
I loved that dish, except for the way it looked.
Her family saying in a statement, Ann was a beloved wife, sister, daughter, stepmother, and friend. Her smile lit up every room she entered. Ann's light radiated far beyond those she knew, touching millions across the world.
And just this morning, police are saying that Burrell was found unconscious and unresponsive inside her Brooklyn home just before 8 a.m. on Tuesday. The officer at the chief medical examiner's office said they will perform an autopsy to determine the cause of death. We are just shaken up over this. Yeah. She was such a delight. Danny Labrizzo, who was her producer here in GMA, said always game, up for anything, and just a true joy to work with.
Yeah, we can all second that.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Lara. Now, with our play of the day in the Will of a Mama, the best person to bring us this is always Sam Champion. What you got, Sam?
This is fun. We found some good stuff. So this morning we feature an acrobatic rooftop save that would make Tom Cruise. You just mentioned Tom Cruise, Lara. Make Tom Cruise proud. Check out this scene straight out of Mission Impossible, but this time from the Animal Kingdom, seen by a couple in Franklin, Pennsylvania.
God, she's not gonna be able to get him up. She's gonna drop him. Oh no.
Look at her go.
Wow. That is the will of a mama right there.
It is the will of a mama. That mama raccoon hanging from her back paws. Hi, Lara. But somehow pulling her kit, and I learned this from watching the Baby Animal Beat. A baby raccoon is called a kit.
I'm sharing my beat now.
Back to safety. So don't ever underestimate the strength of a mama.
Exactly. Right. That was beautiful.
Wasn't it cool?
You made my day. Thank you.
Had she not been able to do it, man, needed a first aid kit. Anyway, coming out, we have the young star of the new Disney Pixar movie, Elio. They're here. There he is.
Yay, he's with us live.
I made Fonzie laugh that kid thing. There we go. We'll be right back.
Good morning, America. It's 8 a.m. Iran warning of an all-out war if the U.S. joins Israel in the escalating conflict in the Middle East, as President Trump calls for Iran's unconditional surrender and warning the U.S. could target the supreme leader.
The business of this show is a complicated world.
Emmy winner Mark Duplass sparks a national conversation around men's mental health.
I just want to say very clearly, there is no shame in this.
What the morning show star is telling GMA about his struggle, including an intense nervous breakdown, saying he white-knuckled it through panic attacks in his teens, and what has been critical in helping him through it all.
And oh, get ready for this. Yes, Chef. We have a first look at the Bears' Jeremy Allen White as Bruce Springsteen in Deliver Me From Nowhere. We have a whole lot more ahead of Pop News.
Plus, we're launching into Wednesday. The young star of the new Disney Pixar movie, Elio, is here.
Leader of Earth. Huh?
As we say, Good Morning, America.
Live from ABC News headquarters in New York City, it's Wednesday. Good Morning, America.
You want to say that again?
No, I did not.
Okay, Good Morning, America. We are glad you're with us in our new beautiful home. And we're always glad when Tori Johnson's here with Deals and Stills. And this week is all about summer beauty. Tori's with the small business owners. Yeah, they're all in-house who are offering big bargains on their products. We're going to meet them coming up. Looking forward to that.
Always love when the owners come in with Tori like that. And just ahead as well, Kraft Heinz and General Mills removing artificial dyes from some of your favorite foods. Dr. Tara Narula is going to be here with the details and the reason behind it.
That is coming up. First, look at the top stories breaking today. We start with the conflict between Israel and Iran. Two countries have been trading deadly attacks. A lot of uncertainty about what action President Trump could take, either through diplomacy or military action against Iran. I want to go back to our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott at the White House. Good morning, Rachel.
George, good morning to you again. And I'm told that President Trump has been presented with and is considering a range of options, including direct U.S. involvement to strike Iranian nuclear sites. Well, this morning, that is prompting a very stark and direct response from Iran's supreme leader. He responded just moments ago saying that Americans should know the Iranian nation will not surrender, adding war will be met with war, bombing with bombing, and strike with strike. It comes after the president demanded the regime's unconditional surrender and delivered this warning on social media saying, quote, "We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding," calling him an easy target and saying the U.S. won't kill him, at least for now. The president met with his national security team in the Situation Room yesterday and then spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who sources say has been pushing the U.S. to get more involved. Only the United States has the 30,000-pound bunker buster bomb capable of reaching Iran's deeply buried nuclear sites. But deepening America's involvement in this conflict could be politically risky for the president, who campaigned on being a peacemaker and ending all wars, Robin.
All right, Rachel, our thanks to you. Now to the Stanley Cup, and the Florida Panthers are champions yet again, lifting Lord Stanley's Cup for the second straight year. Will Reeve is here with all those details for us. Good morning, Will.
Hello, good morning to you, Robin. Do not adjust your screens, folks. It is deja vu on ice. The Florida Panthers are champions again at the expense of Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. Last night, a celebration and a coronation. For the second straight year, the Florida Panthers defeating the Edmonton Oilers and hoisting the Stanley Cup on home ice, winning Game 6 in dominant fashion, 5-1. Star Sam Reinhart scoring 4 goals.
We just have that belief, that self-confidence that going into a series, we're going to come out on top.
American hero Matthew Tkachuk putting one in as well. ESPN's Emily Kaplan catching up with Tkachuk amid the post-game celebration.
It's unbelievable. Back-to-back, two-time Stanley Cup champions, a dynasty. I mean, I'm so lucky to be on this team.
Dynasty, is that how we should remember the Florida Panthers?
Absolutely.
And Florida's Sam Bennett scored a franchise record 15 goals this postseason, winning the Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player in the playoffs.
It's only fitting that this year it goes to the leading goal scorer, Sam Bennett.
And in sports where there is triumph, there is also pain. Heartbreak again for the best player of his generation. Oilers captain Connor McDavid once again so close to winning the Stanley Cup, but the Panthers are just too good, a worthy champion. And here's a stat for you, George. 4 of the last 6 Stanley Cup champions have been from the state of Florida.
Where there's no frozen ice anywhere.
Where no one grows up playing hockey.
Exactly. Well, they do now because they love the Panthers.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Thanks so much for them. Will. And, now to a GMA health alert on food dyes. This morning, Kraft, Heinz, and General Mills announcing a major step forward in response to growing health concerns about artificial coloring in our food. Our chief medical correspondent, Dr. Tara Narula, is here with more. And Dr. tell us about these announcements and why they're significant.
Well, Michael, artificial dyes are in so many of the foods we eat. They may be in your breakfast cereal, snacks, candies, beverages, and there is a concern for harm. So there's been a growing movement to get them eliminated. So Kraft is announcing they will no longer be launching any products that have artificial dye in them. They will also be looking to eliminate the dyes that are in existing products by 2027, maybe switching over to natural dyes if necessary. They say that 90% of the foods they already have out on the market do not have artificial dyes. So Heinz ketchup, no dye. The beloved Kraft mac and cheese, they eliminated artificial dyes in 2016. So what does have dye in it? Things like Jell-O, Crystal Light, jet puffed marshmallows, things like that. So they'll be looking to eliminate that. And so we've really seen a growing movement starting about 6 months ago. The FDA banning red dye number 3, RFK announcing that the government will be looking to eliminate artificial dyes from the American food supply, the 8 remaining ones, over the next year. We've seen states like West Virginia ban them, other countries, and other companies like PepsiCo, Tyson Foods, and now General Mills. So why are we seeing this? Well, the science says that there is a link potentially in animals and cancer with some of the artificial dyes, and human studies that have shown issues in kids with behavior, neurologic issues, and hyperactivity, as well as allergies and other inflammatory bowel diseases. So really, there's no nutritional benefit. It's just there to enhance appearance.
Oh.
So I don't think anyone's going to argue with this.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
What do you say to those people who are concerned about artificial dyes in food?
Well, certainly if you buy organic, you're not going to be getting artificial dyes. That's something you can do. Reading the package label to look for the artificial dyes, eating more whole foods, less processed or packaged foods. If you bake or cook, you can buy natural dyes that are made from fruits and plants. And here's a really interesting fact for you that actually my kids pointed out. One of the most common natural red pigments is actually made from a bug, the cochineal insect. This bug has been used for its red pigment dating back centuries. It was as traded like silver and gold back in earlier times.
How did your kids know that?
They said, Mom, can you believe that red natural dye is made from bugs? And my husband and I said, you're kidding, this cannot be true. And sure enough, they're right. So I read the history of the cochineal bug, very interesting.
I bet they love to go like, we got one on you.
They did, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, fascinating. So there are algae, actually. The government just looked into approving, and they did approve in March, a blue pigment made from algae. So lots of other sources we can be using besides the synthetic ones.
Learn something new every day, Doc.
There you go.
Coming up on our GMA Morning Menu, the Morning Star, Mark Duplass, sharing his struggle with depression and anxiety, what he wants everyone to know about asking for help and not being afraid to ask for help.
Also ahead, GMA Out Loud, and with a new pope, a look at the LGBTQ plus community and the push for a more inclusive Catholic Church.
And the first trailer for the upcoming Bruce Springsteen biopic, it has dropped. That's coming up in Pop News. And Larry and Sam are not upstairs, they're actually just down the road.
We're just around the corner with Jonas listening to the happy music in the background. Jonas Kimbreev is here. He plays in the new title role in Elio, right?
Yes.
I got it right.
Disney
Elio,
yes.
Yes, thank you.
We love Jonas, and he's just told us something that he has in common with Elio. He'll share it with you coming up on GMA. Don't miss it.
Let's get the happy vibe.
Let's go.
It's a nice shot of our foggy new neighborhood here in New York City, downtown. But we're back now with our GMA cover story. Emmy-winning director, actor, and writer Mark Duplass sparking a national conversation after revealing the regimen he uses to manage his depression and anxiety. Whit Johnson sat down with the morning show star to talk about breaking the stigma around mental health. And good morning to you, Whit.
Hey, Michael, good morning to you. Well, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and according to the CDC's National Center for Statistics, only about 41% of men with an anxiety disorder receive any form of treatment. Mark Duplass tells me he's now trying to break down those stigmas and help others find what he calls little slivers of hope and joy.
The business of this show is a complicated world.
He's best known for his role as the fiercely loyal producer Chip Black on The Morning Show.
I'm going to stick around until you find someone new to produce you.
But recently, 48-year-old actor, writer, and producer Mark Duplass has taken on a new role, opening up about his personal mental health journey. This 2023 Instagram post starting it all, writing, "I have been struggling with anxiety and depression for most of my life. When I see pictures of myself like this one, I can see the fear and sadness behind the smile."
You put it out there, not knowing how people are going to react. What was that initial response like?
You know, it's funny. I didn't really see it as something super personal. And I thought, I'll just share this feeling I had. And it was really the response that people had, particularly a lot of men, that made me realize that men's mental health in particular might not have been as destigmatized as I thought it was.
Mark says he white-knuckled it through panic attacks in his teens, but as he got older, he could no longer ignore it.
I had a pretty intense nervous breakdown in my late 20s, and I had no skills with which to deal with them. And I really did. I thought, this might be it for me. I might never be normal again.
Therapy and medication have been critical in pulling Mark from the depths of depression. But he says there's much more to his regimen that keeps him in a healthier place.
I learned that I got to get out of bed in the morning. I need to make sure I'm sleeping 8 to 9 hours a night. I need to make sure I'm getting really good exercise. I need to make sure I'm eating healthy. And for me, and this isn't the same for everyone, I needed to demystify the medication.
There is still such a stigma surrounding mental health. Were you ever concerned that perhaps this would hurt your career?
Yeah, I thought about it. I thought about, the last thing I would want is someone who's considering hiring me for a job to think like, oh man, what happens if he shows up and he's really depressed or anxious one day? I just want to say very clearly, there is no shame in this. I was so scared to tell people what I was dealing with. And once I did, it deepened all of my relationships. It helped my professional career. And that's something I didn't anticipate.
What would your message be to somebody out there who's struggling right now?
It's going to be okay. You're probably feeling like there's no way I'm ever going to be normal again. My life is ruined. But that fog is a lie. It's not real. And you will rise above the fog, and it will lift.
And another tip that Mark recommends is something he calls the 5 gratitudes, actually listing out 5 things that you're thankful for every morning and every night. The smaller the better, from that first cup of coffee in the morning to when your dog greets you at the door. And guys, this is actually something similar to what a therapist recommended to me years ago when I was going through my own personal struggles, and I found it to be extremely helpful. If it makes you feel good, write it down.
The fog is not real was the greatest description,
no,
right?
But it's a lot. The fog is a lot.
Yeah.
When he said that.
That was really great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so glad that he is doing that and feeling more comfortable and sharing more and more about
Absolutely.
it. All right, Whit, thanks.
Thank you.
Now to our Pride Month series, GMA Out Loud. And this morning, with the new Pope, we're taking a look at the relationship between LGBTQ plus people and the Catholic Church. Gio is here with that story for us. Good morning, Gio.
Hey, Robin. Good morning. Yeah, Pope Francis famously said, "Who am I to judge?" Now, as we wait for Pope Leo to share his views, many are looking at his 2012 comments saying that the gay lifestyle was at odds with the gospel. But then just 2 years ago, saying everyone is welcome in the church. With a recent Pew Research poll finding that 74% of American Catholics say homosexuality should be accepted by society, while some homilies are sounding very different.
Can you carry a cross and a pride flag? A growing number of Catholics say yes.
I'm a gay Catholic, and the fact that I'm attracted to men doesn't stop me from loving Jesus, doesn't stop me from loving Catholicism.
I think a lot of people are wondering when they're growing up gay, will my parents love me? That's one question. I think another question is, will God love me?
Well, God loves everybody. That's the first thing. This is the way you're born, right? And this is the way that God made you.
Father James Martin is a Jesuit priest and one of the world's most respected Catholic voices working to create a welcoming church.
People kind of cherry pick Bible passages. Homosexuality is an abomination in the Old Testament. Yeah, it also says that we should stone women who are adulterous, right? You know, the Bible recommends slavery. We don't approve of that anymore.
It's thinking like this that's led to a shift happening in some Catholic churches around the world, despite official church doctrine against gay marriage.
God loves you, gay as you are.
The love of our LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters.
Rose Sarazoff and Paula Acuti say they stopped going to church for years after feeling unwelcomed, but they never lost their faith.
Once we stopped going to church, we continued to have our own liturgies at home.
They eventually found a welcoming home at St. Francis Xavier's Catholic Lesbians group in New York. Nearby, Leven Valiil was embraced by the group Out at St. Paul's.
There are a group of people that deeply want to be connected to God. It's hurtful whenever church leaders say that we are not allowed that connection.
By excluding LGBT people, we're excluding their families too. And I think a lot of parishes are realizing we can't do that any longer. We really have to find a way to reach out and bring them in.
Why do you think so many LGBTQ people are interested in Catholicism, Christianity, religion in general?
Well, I would say that they see in the Gospels someone who welcomes people who feel excluded. I'd also say that LGBTQ Catholics sometimes are the strongest and most faith-filled Catholics that I know. They may have heard really exclusionary homilies and, even been kind of had their fingers wagged at them, and they still stay. That's real faith.
And I wondered, which biblical story does Father Martin turn to support the LGBTQ community? And he mentioned the story of the Roman centurion. This is the Roman soldier who was just despised by society, and Jesus helped even him. In fact, the Gospels say that Jesus was amazed by his faith, and that's the story he leans on.
He's been such a powerful pastor and writer, and great for us here at ABC as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jim.
My mom was the most religious, spiritual person. You all have met her.
Yep.
And I remember her saying to me, she goes, God loves you because of who he is, not because of anything you do or don't do.
Oh, wow.
And that was just like, thank you, Mama. Yeah. What a gift.
All right, it's time now for Deals and Steals, and it's the second day of our Beauty Bonanza. Tori is here with savings to keep you feeling fresh all summer long. These are from small businesses whose founders and CEOs are with us live, which I love. I love seeing the brains behind the operation. So thank you all for being here.
We're starting with a favorite.
Yeah, and this is beauty with a superfood involvement.
Power of the plum.
Exactly. Tell us a little bit about this, Allison.
So, my sisters and I launched this. We grew up on a family farm in Northern California. Plum Beauty Oil was our very first launch, which Chrissy Teigen called Holy and Magic. This amassed a 30,000 person wait list overnight.
Wow.
And it's clinically proven to improve skin tone and texture, so it's amazing.
I'm so excited. There was a wait list, but we get it.
But
Thanks
we get
to Tori.
We get it. And we get the entire collection, and Allison's hooked us up. You and your sisters, got to give them credit too. All 50% off.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Allison, thank you for being with us
Phenomenal.
today.
All right, Maddie has figured out a way to give us professional looking brows in seconds, and you're going to demo it for us.
Yes, I have combined the perfect shapes with the easiest application technique ever to create perfect eyebrows in seconds.
In seconds.
Wow.
In seconds. It's the easiest kit to use. You've got 11 different shades.
Can I see this?
9 different stencils, so you will find your own. And in seconds, you can look as perfect as those brows.
Actually brilliant.
So fabulous, all slashed in half.
All right,
we love
thank
it.
you. Thank you for that. The brow is everything.
The brow is everything, but you know what else is? So is the self-tanner, because it's
Yeah.
all
Oh,
about
of
self-confidence.
Hi. Nice to meet you. Thank you. I'm assuming you're wearing it because you have this perfect glow.
Yes,
Tell us about your product.
So we are the most effortless and easy to use self-tanner. This is like a body cream that applies. So you just apply, and every day you're going to build a gradual color. There's no dyes, there's no mitch, there's no mess, there's no unpleasant smell. In fact, quite the opposite.
And it's called Luxe Unfiltered.
Yes.
And you have different tones, different.
Yes, different tones. We've got drops for the face. We've got everything that's very hydrating for the body to really instill that tan to make it nice and hydrated.
And it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
natural.
And I also
easiest
see
thing
like
to use.
highlighters, blushes, lipsticks, and all of this is in the deal?
All 50% off.
Oh,
we
it's
love
so,
it. And
how do I
it's
say
so
your name?
easy to use.
Sivan, it's so nice to meet you. I want that glow.
All right,
I'm in.
We're in our
Pretty in
guava
pink.
era. We're in our guava era.
Okay, guava.
Guava. That's where it's at. So guava is such a powerful protectant for your hair.
Yeah.
It keeps your hair protected from the sun and also treats frizz. Our bestseller is the Guava Leave-In Conditioner.
Can I see?
Last time we went on GMA, it sold out.
So this is
instantly.
Ceremonia. And this product is the Guava Leave-In Conditioner, everyone. And if
Yes.
hair like yours, I'm in.
I'm wearing it. So this is for frizz control and hydration. And the Guava Rescue Spray is basically like SPF for your hair.
Oh, great.
You need
But
this
you
in your
need to
beach
spray
bag.
this on your body.
I do?
Okay. That's summer in a bottle. That's another guava favorite.
This just launched and it's sold out immediately, and it's finally back in stock.
Oh, this is
We've
so
got
nice.
it. So the entire collection, if you want that gorgeous hair, 50% off, starting at $11.
I mean, amazing.
It's so good. It's so good.
Like A+ all of you. Tori, how do you
All right.
do it?
25 years. You guys know Jessie
I know
Metcalf. 25
Jessie.
years in front of her
Guys,
camera.
do you remember Desperate Housewives?
Desperate Housewives. John Tucker Must Die. You know. You said to me, I'm going to say it, but 46 years old. I don't have time for a complicated skin routine.
No, I do not. No, I do not. Yeah, people are constantly telling me I look substantially younger than I am.
Yes.
I've spent 25 years in front of the camera in the makeup chair. I've taken all of that knowledge in topicals, and I put those active ingredients in this product line. It's a 4-step skincare line: a daily exfoliating cleanser, a purifying vitamin C serum, anti-aging under eye serum, and a restoring moisturizer.
I'm so proud of you,
Thank you so
Jessie.
much.
And I know the product is such a hit. Everyone
Product
loves
is
this.
phenomenal. I've had all my testers rave, and Jessie's hooked us up because it's all 50% off today.
Great to see you,
Thank you.
Jessie.
Great to
Guys,
see you.
all of the products, we want to thank these gems. We're so excited. We thank you. They're on our website. Tori will be back tomorrow with more, and we have so much coming up in Pop News, so stay with us.
Welcome back to GMA, live from New York City.
Welcome back to Pop News with Lara.
Oh, well, let's do it. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to begin Pop News with your first look at the brand new trailer, brand new, for the Bruce Springsteen biopic, Deliver Me From Nowhere. This just dropped, guys. It stars Jeremy Allen White. It dropped like
Look at
seconds
that.
ago. Here it is.
Bruce is a repairman. And what he's doing with this album is he's repairing that hole in his floor. He's repairing that hole in himself. And once he's done that, he's gonna repair the entire world. Trying to find some real in all the noise.
Wow, he sounds exactly like him.
I could.
The film chronicles the making of Bruce Springsteen's 1982 album. It's called Nebraska. It's the one that he made on a 4-track recorder in his bedroom in New Jersey in 1981 and 82. 20th Century Studios says the film, quote, showcases a young musician on the cusp of global superstardom, struggling to reconcile the pressures of success with the ghosts of his past. Guys, the movie also stars Jeremy Strong, who's fantastic as Springsteen's longtime manager, John Landau, and Mark Maron as record producer Chuck Plotkin. Deliver Me From Nowhere hits theaters October 24th. It's getting so much buzz.
Looks like a good one.
Yeah, very
really
excited
good.
about that. Hey, also this morning, how about some tennis news?
Okay.
We are just over 2 months away from the U.S. Open, and this morning some serious competition already brewing on the court. Earlier this year, the U.S. Tennis Association announced they were reimagining the U.S. Open Mixed Doubles Championships. Well, now they have revealed the early entry list. The lineup is insane. It includes 9 of the world's top 10 players in both the women's and men's rankings, teaming up to take each other on. Get this. French Open winner Carlos Alcaraz pairing up with 2021 U.S. Open champ Emma Raducanu, 2024 U.S. Open winner and #1 ranked Jannik Sinner, teaming up with Emma Navarro.
Wow.
They're a team. Naomi Osaka and Nick Kyrgios.
That's going to be good.
Will
That's a
play
good
together.
matchup. Yeah.
All-American duos. Madison Keys will play with Francis Tiafoe, and Jess Pegula will play alongside Number 8 ranked Tommy Paul. Those are just a sampling of some of the duos that have been put together. This is so brilliant. What changed in order to bring all of these all-star pairings together, you may be asking, Sam?
I was just asking that.
I knew you were. Well, this event was moved from the 3rd week of the tournament to the 1st week, also known as Fan Week, to enable all of these top players to compete the week before the main draw begins so they can get warmed up, they can get going. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's
but
smart.
there's also high stakes. You can be a U.S. Open champ, and the competition will be fierce. It all starts August 19th and goes on through the 20th. Do not miss it. Thank you, USTA, for giving us that.
Yeah.
Can you tell I'm excited?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. All right, finally, guys, wouldn't it be nice for everyone to come together to listen to one of America's most beloved bands? There you go. Thank you, Lily. Perfect timing. You know, just to appreciate all that they contributed to our musical culture, well, it is happening for the Beach Boys. Guys, since Brian Wilson's passing last week, there's been a return to the charts for the classic album Pet Sounds. In fact, it re-entered the Billboard 200 at its highest ranking in 60 years at number 136. Album sales are up almost 1,400% over the prior period. Pet Sounds is one of the 13 top 10 albums for the Beach Boys. It features hits like Wouldn't It Be Nice and God Only Knows. We love this song so much. And that has seen a staggering 3,400% bump on streaming services. A great tribute and to Brian Wilson and his legacy.
Great
and that's
music.
pop news, everybody.
So
little
good.
musical,
Yeah.
little something for you.
Anytime you can whip in the Beach Boys, that's great.
All right, well said. I'm glad you liked it.
Thank you, Lara.
It's what fills your cup, and we hope that our cup doesn't spill on this brand new white couch that we're sitting on.
Right?
A couple of precarious
Lara, as we
We've made
celebrate our first week in the new studio, we're popping into local coffee shops all around this beautiful country to connect with different communities. And this morning, we are in Chicago. Oh, let's take a look at where we're stopping by.
Good morning, America.
A coffee house built by the community.
We're creating jobs. We have 10 employees. They're from the community. They're not strangers to the area. They're friendly faces, and they have such great attitude.
For the community.
We're also give back to the neighborhood. $1 from every bag that we sell gets reinvested into social impact fund.
Turning struggle into strength.
Everything that we do revolves around one or all 4 of our pillars that we refer to as SEED. It stands for social impact, economic development, environmental responsibility, and direct relationships.
One cup at a time. You know, I got a lot of love for this series. A latte love for this series. Joining us now, the owner of Back of the Yards Coffee House. Please welcome to GMA, Jesse and Yigaz. Hey, Jesse! Welcome! Good to see you all. We're thrilled to have you all start your day with us. And we have it here in the studio. Can you tell us what we're drinking, Jesse? It's delicious.
I want to get one.
Yes, I'm drinking it as well. It's our 47th Street blend. It's what I wake up with every day. It's a blend from Ethiopia and Brazil, and it's a good our main blend that's a good everyday coffee.
It is a wonderful blend. You all
Nothing bad comes from Brazil. That's awesome.
This is from Brazil. Hey, Jesse, I know that you opened the coffee house. What was it, back in 2016? There were no shops in the area, and your mission was to strengthen your community, create a space for the whole neighborhood to enjoy. So how have you done that, Jesse?
Yeah, so when we opened up, I was actually looking for a coffee shop to go to, and I kept trying to get other people to open up, and nobody would open up. So I took the chance when others wouldn't, and now almost 10 years later, we're here today. And yeah, we wanted to do something different. However, we wanted to provide a safe space for the community, a beautiful space, something that we felt belongs here. And provide an economic, a boost to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We pay $20 an hour to all of our baristas. That's where we start.
Nice.
And give back to our community.
Yeah, wonderful. And your baristas, they are from the community, aren't they not?
They are.
Yeah.
They're our neighbors, so people recognize them and they see them on the street. And when they come in, they see a friendly face.
That's nice. You got a friendly face there that we're seeing right now, Jesse. We'll tell everybody that we thank them so much. I love the sign, "We love Robin a Latte." That is very, yeah, we appreciate that. You knew you were going to get in the shot with that sign. No, but thank you for filling our cup this morning.
Yeah.
Next time we're in Chicago, we're going to stop on by.
Yeah, we will.
You take care. And tomorrow we're going to Florida. We're going to Lakeland, Florida.
Okay.
All right. We'll see what.
I'm in.
All right. Let's go down to Ginger.
I'm into this series. I love Robin a latte too. All right, now we're gonna go to a National Geographic documentary about Sally Ride. Sally tells us the story of the first American woman astronaut who cracked the highest possible ceiling to realize her dream of flying into space, overcoming skeptics both inside NASA and out to achieve that goal. It also tells her personal story with interviews including her life partner, which is a part of her life that was kept private until now. Sally is streaming now on Disney Plus and Hulu.
There are no critics for this film, but critics are saying that the new intergalactic Disney Pixar film, Elio, is kind of out of this world, if you will. Jonas Kibrium, who plays the title role, is here first. Jonas, we're so glad you're here, but first...
Oh, man, thank you for having me.
Because you
So
lightened up
happy.
our whole day, but first let's take a look at the clip.
Yep.
Hi! I knew aliens are looking for me! You saved my life! I promise I'll put my weight on this, spaceship? Is this a spaceship?
He's awesome.
Yeah.
And if America Ferrara says she fell in love with you in 2 minutes, and I saw that when she was introducing you at some point, someplace, you're a pretty big deal, my friend. So welcome to the show. We're glad
Thank you
to
for
have
having me, guys. I just learned that Jonas started acting when he was 8 years old,
Yeah.
so he's like a veteran now.
Yeah.
And you just had a birthday yesterday, my
Yes,
fellow Gemini.
thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Are you willing to share your age, or is that, you
Guys,
know?
I'm aging. I'm pretty old, so.
Yeah.
Do you want to give
My
the
knees
number
are hurting,
out,
my
or
back
your
are
back is
hurting.
already out?
Yeah.
I know. I feel it. No, but it was 15,
15,
right?
yeah, 15.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Glad you're here.
Thank you.
Now, in the movie, like Elio's dream is to be abducted by aliens. I'm a runaway guy, not a run to. Like if aliens are landing, I'm out. But are you a go in, hi, I want to meet the alien, or are you a get out guy?
I'm going in. I feel like if aliens were coming to see me, then that's pretty cool.
All right.
I'm going in. I'm like, hey guys.
All right.
Don't eat me.
Tell us a little bit about, because you've done a bunch of things already. What was it about Elio and about this movie that you thought, oh, this is it, this is awesome, I'm in?
Well, one, I mean, it's a Pixar movie, and all Pixar movies are amazing.
They really are.
Yeah, I watched Pixar movies when I was little. I mean, to be a part of one, such a surreal moment for me. But also, I feel like I relate to Elio in so many ways, and that's kind of really what brought me to this role.
You promised that you would tell us how you relate to Elio, what do you have in common? Will you now tell us?
Yes. Okay, so Elio, he's just this amazing kid with a great spirit. He's always down for an adventure, and I feel like I can relate to that, you know, when me and my friends are hanging out and we see something like, okay, we gotta go, let's go do that. Like, no matter what it is, I'm always down for an adventure, and, you know, he's going to space, so.
Yeah.
And we already know you'd run to the aliens and say, yeah, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Look, I got to ask you, because you're 15 and this is a pretty big magical world to be in, right? Film star. I mean, this is your movie. How does it play at home with your friends and families? Do they roll out a red carpet when you come down for breakfast?
Do they treat you differently now?
No, and I'm glad they don't, because, you know, I mean, it's amazing to be a part of this as well, but I'm glad that I'm treated the same, and it's not anything different. But you know, my friends and family, I got to invite them to the premiere in LA, and that was such an amazing experience. And I'm glad that they got to experience this success with me. And yeah, but no, they definitely don't roll out a red carpet for me when I go to breakfast.
They keep it real.
Yeah.
What would you say the lesson is, the takeaway of Elio, of the movie? Because it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is visually stunning. It's an amazing movie, and Elio, he's going through grief at a young age because he lost his parents, and he feels like he doesn't belong on Earth, and he has this obsession of going to space. And you know, one day he does get abducted by aliens, and he meets his best friend Glorden, who's an alien up in the communiverse. And yeah, I think the overall, what I want the takeaway to be is just how important your friends and family are.
Yeah.
Because when you're going through a rough time, they're going to be there for you.
And Sam and I both loved, you were on a red carpet, and someone said, if you really were abducted and you became the ruler of the universe, you said that you were going to require something of all beings.
Yes.
And will you share that? Because I thought that was really, and why?
Okay.
So, I want everybody to have some name tags on because I feel like the world would be so much more friendlier. Like, hey, Bob. Oh, hi, Jim. You know,
Exactly
like,
right.
yeah.
I think that's great advice.
I think people would say hi to someone because some of the reason, you know, you may have seen someone in the neighborhood once and you can't remember their name, so you walk by and you don't say hi. But if everyone had a name tag on, you'd be like, you're right.
Everyone's
Hey, Bob.
immediately a friend.
Yes.
I think it's a great
I
idea.
love it.
I would like to instate that or just nominate you for president.
Thank you.
And then I have one last question. You told me that you've been acting a long time. What's the tennis connection, super quick?
Yes. Okay. So I made funny tennis-related Instagram videos. Never thought that the USTA would see it, which is the U.S. Tennis Association.
Yeah, it is.
Flew me out to New York, and I got to interview some tennis players at the U.S. Open. And I got an agent from there and just started auditioning for commercials and TV and movies.
Look at that young man.
Now I'm here.
Many times. We
Yes.
just love having you.
You guys are amazing.
Welcome to your first time on GMA, but not your last.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for
Jonas,
having me.
We'll see you soon. And everybody, see Jonas's work, please. Elio is so good. It hits theaters this Friday. I promise you'll be smiling.
Yeah.
Coming up, the director of Barbara Walters' Tell Me Everything is with us live on Good Morning America.
We are back now with Jackie Jesko, the award-winning director behind the new documentary, Barbara Walters, Tell Me Everything. And Jackie, welcome to the show. And this doc is something else. All of us here got a chance to get a little sneak peek, and we absolutely love it. Congratulations to you on success of the doc. It just premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival. So how has it been to see the positive reception that it's been getting?
I mean, it's been awesome. And that night at Tribeca Film Festival was very special because a lot of the people in the audience knew Barbara personally. Mm-hmm. And so to hear them say that we captured her, it was really meaningful.
Yeah, coming from those folks
Yeah,
who
exactly.
really knew her very well. I got to ask you this. How did you even begin to tackle a story like this? Because there's just such depth to what she did and what she stood for.
Yeah, so ABC News Studios gave us access to their entire archive of Barbara Walters footage, and that's 50 years of footage. So it was difficult. You know, you get 90 minutes, right? And so it's like, how do you do her entire career, her personal life, and whatever else you want to say about Barbara in that time? So that was difficult. But really, you know, actually her own book, Audition, was kind of our guide. I wanted to know what was important to her, what were the career highlights that she, you know, really stood out to her. So that was really, really helpful. But I also had an amazing team at Imagine Documentaries, best in the business when it comes to doing biopics. So that was nice.
And you guys certainly delivered. Let's give everybody a look at a clip.
My mother had no means of having a livelihood. And my nightmare was that my father was going to lose it all. He was a gambler by nature. He gambled on cards, and eventually he gambled on the Latin Quarter. And after years of success, he had nothing, nothing.
The lights on Broadway are no longer the shining gay Broadway.
And my father was in great despair, and he attempted suicide from an overdose of sleeping pills. I was in my 20s. And I had to support my whole family.
That was a revelation to me. And, you know, Barbara is so well known, but did anything surprise you as you were doing this?
Definitely. I was actually a news producer for 10 years, many of those years here at ABC News. So, of course, I knew Barbara's professional life, but I really didn't know much about her personal life, especially her childhood. And as it turns out from that clip, you know, her dad was a nightclub impresario. He had a club called the Latin Quarter in Times Square, New York. And she kind of grew up in the shadow of fame. You know, she was able to go backstage and meet these celebrities. And, you know, as she says in the film, realize they were real people, too. And you can obviously see how that made her good at interviewing them.
I knew about that part, but didn't know about the financial and personal troubles.
Yes. So then, you know, her dad goes riches to rags story. And then Barbara, you know, and this is at a time when few women worked at all. She becomes the breadwinner for the family. And I think that pressure really propelled her for the rest of her life.
And of all of her interviews, because she did so many, which one of you says most quintessential Barbara Walters? Wow.
That's a tough question, but I would have to say Fidel Castro, 1976. That interview, it was actually a full 24 hours of interview. And, you know, he's the stoic dictator, and she kind of wraps him around her little finger. You know, she asks him questions that very personal. Are you married? Will you ever shave your beard? And you can see he's quite charmed by her. And I'm sure nobody else was asking those questions.
Yeah, she seemed fearless.
Definitely.
Well, and she proved that, and you show the scenes as well when she gets to sit out and beg ahead of Walter Cronkite.
Yeah.
Huge.
Amazing, right? Yeah, that picture of her on the tarmac, it's my favorite photo from the entire film.
Clint Eastwood was my favorite one.
Yeah.
He got her. He shook her. All right, Jackie, thank you so much. Congratulations on the success of this. You deserve every bit of it. And Barbara Walters, Tell Me Everything is streaming this Monday, June 23rd on Hulu. Make sure you check it out. You will not be disappointed.
Trust me, you don't want to know. Before we go, it's somebody's birthday tomorrow. She's not going to be here. Lara, bring out the cake since we're not going to see you tomorrow for your birthday.